Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In this current session, we are going to discuss about App Service Deployment Center. In our previous video, we have discussed about what is App Service, why we need the App Services, and what is the limitations in the App Services, and demo how we can create the App Service from the Azure portal, and how we can deploy our custom web application into the App Service using the Visual Studio tool. So in this current session, I will more discuss about how we can implement a continuous integration and continuous delivery using from the deployment center tab, and also we will talk about the deployment slot. So how we can swap the deployment code from one environment to other environment. So in order to get that, I will switch to the Azure portal and create the app service. So in order to create the app service, first either you can search from search bar or you can go to the marketplace. So here I will search for the web app. So app service, under the app service create a web app, and here you need to choose the resource group. So either you can create the new resource group or you can choose the existing resource group. So I'm going to choose this resource group is D2KSS under, and next I'm going to configure the name of the instance web app. So D2KSS web app, and here you can publish the code, whatever the your custom web application, you can publish the code in three ways. One is from your .NET code or Docker container or static web app. So in this demo, I'm going to choose the option is code, and I will choose the framework is .NET 6, and the operating system is Windows, and region is East US. See here, you can able to choose the plans. So you can explore the plans, whatever the plans is there, you can explore here, and based on your requirement, you can able to choose. So based on your cost or based on your number of CPUs is required, and number of the memory is required, and the remote storage and the scale of instance is required. Based on that, you can able to choose that. So for now, I'm going to choose the standard S1 and select. So, and I don't want the geo redundancy. So here in the deployment tab, you can able to see that there is a option called you can integrate using the GitHub account. This particular option is available only for GitHub. So the Azure has clearly mentioned that this particular deployment tab is for code is placed in the GitHub repository only. So you can see here is GitHub Actions is automation framework can build or test and deploy your app whenever a new commit made into the repository. If your code in GitHub, choose your repository here, and we will add a workflow file to automatically deploy your app to app service. So important thing here is if your code is not in the GitHub repository, go to the deployment center once the web app is created to set up your deployment. So I'm not going to use the GitHub account. If you want, you can able to choose here. It will give you an option called authorize. So once you authorize, it will list down all your organizations here. You can able to choose whatever the organization you can able to choose here. In this demo, I'm not going to choose the GitHub integration and continue to networking. So enable the public access and monitoring. So you can able to choose if you want to get the insight logs, you can choose yes, or you can choose no also, it's fine. And go to the tags and review and create, and click on the create button. So this deployment will take minimum 1 to 2 minutes, maximum 5 minutes. So the deployment is successful. Now we click on the button called go to resource. So I already discussed in our previous video session like what is this overview and all these options, what is the default domain, and remaining all options also we have discussed. In this video session we mainly focus on this deployment section. What is deployment center, how it will help, what is the deployment slot, how it will help. So in order to browse the the website which is created in the app service default template. So this is the app service default template has created when we create the app service. Perfect. Now what we have to do here is we need to go to the deployment center. We need to add the repository. It is loading the deployment settings. Perfect. Now you can able to see different repository options to implement the continuous integration and continuous delivery. So you can able to choose GitHub, or you can able to choose the Bitbucket, local Git, or Azure repos. So I have chosen this Azure repos. So once you chosen this Azure repos, if you are logging first time, it will prompt you to authenticate yourself with your Azure account. So before do this, what you have to do here is you need to set up your DevOps account. Once you set up a DevOps account, you need to create a organization. If you are not sure how to create the DevOps account and how to create the organization and how to push your code into the Azure repos, I already have created a detailed playlist, hands-on Azure DevOps hands-on lab in my video series. You can watch the the videos for the how to create the Azure DevOps account, how to push your code into the repository, how to merge your code changes, how to raise the pull request, how to manage your multiple branches, different versions of code already discussed here. You can watch here through this video series. I will keep this link into my description. You can watch the videos if you like. So now we switch back to the app service. So here when you authenticated, by default it will load all your organizations available under this particular repo, and you can able to choose which project you want to add the continuous integration, and you can choose that repository, and you can choose the branch. So there is a multiple branches. So I want to deploy from the master branch. So save, click, select that master branch, click on the save button. Perfect. So the setup is completed. So now what we have to see here is go to the logs. Once you configure the deployment, this particular framework will check that is there any code changes is made for that particular GitHub, then or Azure repo, it will, the deployment will trigger automatically here. Perfect. Now you can see that I did not done anything to initiate the deployment. It was done automatically when the deployment center framework has identified if there is a change between what is there in the current website and what is there in the repo. It is identified automatically, and there is a task has created to initiate the or to sync the latest changes from the Azure repo to the app service. So that this deployment will take a time like a maximum 5 to 10 minutes it will take. It is depend on the size of the code you have pushed into the Azure repos. Perfect. The deployment is successful. You can see the status is success, and this particular deployment is active. So you can go to the browser and refresh this particular domain. So you can see the whatever the code we have deployed, you can see here the changes you can see here. So this is the code we have deployed into the app service. So deployment center demo. So now I want to make a change into the Azure repo, that particular master branch. So go to this Azure repos files, and you can, there is a multiple branches is there. So since I configured for CI/CD pipeline in the app service, the master branch, I want to edit the code in the master branch. So go to the pages and index.css. I will add a code So click on edit button. Here add some text. Deploying code into app service. Deploying code into app service. Perfect. So now go back to the app service and refresh the page. See, automatically it is synchronizing the changes from that Azure repos. And you can able to see the deployment status here, the fetching the changes from the Azure repos, then it will start the deployment. Perfect. The deployment is completed. Now you can able to see the status is success active. So the previous deployment is not active now. This is the code changes what we have made is that particular deployment is active. So you can go to the page and refresh. You can able to see whatever the code changes you have had added here, you can able to see here. Now we need to talk about this deployment slot. So what is the deployment slot and how it will helps to deploy the. So now we discuss about the deployment slot. So why we need the deployment slot? This particular deployment slot will help us to swap the code changes which is there in one environment with other environment, all the settings as well. For example, you have a scenario that you have made some code changes in your local and you push your code changes into the Azure repos. Then you have deployed that code changes into the staging environment. You have performed all the testing in the staging environment. You have confirmed that there is no issues with the code there in the staging environment. Then you can able to swap whatever the environment has created in the staging with the production environment. That means without a downtime in the production, you can able to apply or you can able to deploy your code changes into the production environment. So now we'll see that how we can achieve that. So we already have a one environment called production environment. Now we want to create one more slot. I will name this as a staging and click on the add button. Perfect. Now we have created that. This is the production environment and this is called the staging environment. So I want to 20 and 80% of the traffic and save these changes. So I want to go to this particular staging environment. So now we have two environments. So first, this is staging environment and go to the app service, D2KSS web app. And this is our production environment. You can see the difference in the domain URL is D2KSS web app Azure websites.net. So this will be our production environment and here D2KSS web app hyphen staging.azure website.net. So this is our staging environment. Now you can able to see the difference. So this is the code changes we have deployed now, and this environment there is no code changes has been deployed. So now I want to perform the same steps like integration with Azure repos with a different repository, and I want to perform some testing. Then once perform that testing, I want to swap that code changes what I have tested in staging. I want to swap with the production environment. So currently what is the websites is there in the staging is this is the default website we can able to see here, and in the production this is the default, this is the code changes we have deployed just now. Perfect. Now what we have to do here is same steps what we have performed we need to repeat here. Select the organization and select the project, select the repository, and here in earlier example we have chosen master. Now I want to choose this a UAT branch. So click on the save. So once you configure the deployment settings, then it will automatically perform the deployment. So it will take a while to identify the changes in the UAT environment, and then you can able to, it will start the deployment. Perfect. It identify the deployment, and you can able to see that the deployment status is pending. It is synchronizing changes from VSTS. Perfect. The deployment is successful. Now you refresh the page, the staging page. Now you can able to see the code changes what we have deployed into the app service. So deployment center demo. So this is the code changes available in the production environment. This is the code changes is available. Perfect. Now we want to implement the deployment slot. See here you have an option called swap. So when you click on the swap button, it will ask you what is the source and what is the destination, what is the target. So what we want to do now is whatever the code changes we have made, we have deployed into the staging, we want to replace with the production environment. So now we have to swap these particular code changes into the staging. So I have selected staging is my source and target is production environment, and click on the swap button. So it will take maximum 1 to 2 minutes to perform this action, and you can able to access this particular website without any interruption. Perfect. It has, the swapping is successfully completed between the staging and the production environment. Now refresh these pages. Now you can able to see the code changes which we have swapped. So in the staging, what we have seen in the previous production environment, we are seeing in the staging, and the production environment, what we have seen in the staging environment, we can able to see. The advantage of using this swap is, for example, whatever the code changes you have deployed into the production, any of the reason if it is not working, then you can able to re-perform the swapping again. For example, now you can able to choose the staging environment and production environment and click on the swap button. So whatever the code changes is available in production environment previous running successfully, you can get back easily without any interruption. Click on the swap button. Perfect. Now you can able to see that the successfully completed the swap between the staging and production. So now you can refresh the particular page. You can able to see the old changes, what is there in the changes, and you can get back the production environment without any interruption. So that's all about the deployment center and the deployment slot. Thank you.